today I've got a hip opening and hip mobility yoga flow. So it will be very flexibility based around the hips, but also working on that strengthening and mobility, so you're able to hold postures for longer and just strengthening that whole general area. So we're going to get started in a Baddha, but we're going to do a hands-free one. Quite often the tendency is to just hold onto your feet or push down, so we're just basically going to kind of come to a little bit of a meditation here, and we're just going to bring our hands to heart center, just feeling those hips open naturally without you having any pressure forcing them, and just slowly opening up the hips already. This might feel very intense, so you can get blocks or cushions just to rest underneath, as it is the beginning of our practice, so they are going to be less open than usual. And just close off the eyes here. Maybe noticing the sensations of feeling the hips slowly open over time, and just with inhaling that breath nice and deep, and then imagining that the visualization of it going to that area where you can feel the tension, and this will just help to open up that area and to increase the mobility and flexibility. Okay, then just releasing those hands and opening the eyes. So hopefully feeling opening throughout the hips already. Now we're going to come to Malasana, yogic squat. So just squatting down into those hips, maybe coming up onto the toes, or maybe putting blocks or cushions underneath just to prop you up. And here we are going to use those elbows to push those hips out wider, increasing the stretch. Now we're going to open our right hand down to the mat, down to the floor, and open up our left hand to the sky, and just feeling our hearts open and a deeper opening of the hips. If you have the bind here, you're more than welcome to take it. So that just means threading that arm back, the right arm round to the back, and then finding it with the left and gazing over the left shoulder. And then coming through centre, and then doing the same on the other side. So left hand coming out, you'll be able to see the bind better this side if you didn't understand it from the other way. So left hand comes out, pushing that knee, open that heart up, and open the right hand up to the sky, and then maybe threading this arm around the knee, and then finding it with the right hand and making that connection. Center, just draw those hands out long, pushing your hips out without using the strength of your arms. So just trying to open up those hips deeper, just using your own strength. And then we'll come to a downward facing dog. So firmly rooting through these hands, pushing your bum up to the sky, and then just stepping back. We'll come up onto the toes first of all, bend through the knees, and just sink those heels down to the mat. Doesn't matter if they don't reach the mat, this is just a gesture of where they're heading. Now we're going to bring that left foot closer to the middle of the mat so we have more stability. Raise that right leg up to the sky, keeping the hips square first of all, just so we can feel the difference between the opening and the closed hips. Now we're going to open those hips, and that leg will come significantly higher, And then we can bend that top knee just to get deeper opening into the hips and push back into that back leg to really feel a deep opening. Now we're going to power through, bring that knee to nose. Then we're going to bring it onto the outside of the right hand and step it next to the right hand, coming down into lizard. So we'll have our back knee down for this first one and just push our hearts forward. Either staying here or coming down onto the forearms or onto a block just to make the floor a little bit higher for you. Whatever variation you can get yourself into today. You can either stay here or you can come one step further by bending this back knee in. So you might want to come up onto your hands here, so pulling that back foot in, and then we're going to open our left hand out to the back of the mat and grab it, if you can find it, and just pull it into our bodies. And then lower that hand and that foot, and then we're going to bend that foot in again and just grab it with the other hand. So now grabbing the right hand around. And then come up through centre. We're going to come into a pigeon pose here. So just shuffling that left foot across to the right foot across to the left hand, letting those hips sink towards the mat. This is very early on in a flow to do a pigeon, so it might feel super uncomfortable. If it is, then just get a cushion, put it under your right bum cheek, and it will just release, it will just make it easier for you to get into. We're going to stay upright in this first pigeon, pushing our hearts up to the sky, maybe bringing those hands back and opening up that chest and just feeling a deeper opening into the hips. Then bring those hands in front and push back into a downward facing dog. Maybe just shaking out that right leg and then lower it to the mat. Now we're going to do some hip mobility exercises on that knee. So we're going to raise that leg up to the sky again, bend the knee, and we're just going to bring it up to our right elbow. So we'll go across up to the right elbow. Then we're going to lower it down to the hand and pull up and push back to a three-leg dog. So we're going to do this 2 more times. So bring the knee to the armpit, lower to the hand, pull it up to the armpit, and back to three-leg dog. And 1 more time, bring that knee to the armpit, lower to the hand, pull it up to the armpit, and back and lower into downward facing dog. Maybe just giving those hips a little wiggle. Feeling some power into our hip opening practice today. So now we'll come and do that on the other side. So coming into our lizard pose first, but first of all we're going to lift up that left leg and keep our hips square so we can feel the sensation of the closed and the open hips. And then we'll open that hip and see how significantly higher that left leg can go, and then bending that knee, deepening the hip opening, maybe come up into the toes, and then really pushing back into that back heel to feel this deep opening. Now we'll power through, bring our knee to our chest, and then place it on the outside of the left hand, lowering that back knee, either staying up on our high lizard or coming down to our low lizard or coming onto blocks just to bring the floor closer to you. Really sinking into those hips here. Now if you want to come further, you can come back onto those hands and just bring that right arm around. First of all, pull this leg in. So this might be where you are today, and that's fine. That's plenty if you can feel it in the quads, or maybe bringing that right hand around to catch it. And then coming back to the centre. From our lizard, we're going to take a pigeon on the left leg, so just shuffling like we just did on the other side, shuffling that left leg across the body, bringing it close to the right hip. Just taking a moment to get comfortable, and again we'll just be in our upright pigeon here, So just pushing through the hands and opening up that heart. And then we'll power through those hands and push back into our three-leg dog. And then we're going to do that same variation again. So tucking that knee to the left armpit, lowering to the hands, pull back up and back to three-leg dog. And then we'll come forward, bring the knee to the armpit, lower to the hand, bring it up and back to three-leg dog. Last time, bring that knee all the way to the left armpit, lower to the hand, pull it up, back to downward facing dog. And again, maybe just wiggling out those hips. And then we're going to lower the knees to the floor, but they want to be as wide as the mat. Sit down onto our heels, and we're going to take a wide leg forward fold. Just feeling into the opening of the hips again. Pushing that heart down towards the mat. Forehead touches the mat, or if you are a bit more flexible, you can bring your chin to the mat. Now we're going to power through, push back into our downward facing dog. We're going to bring our right knee to our chest again and hold for 3, 2, 1. Place it between the hands, rise up to our high lunge. Then we're going to open our arms up into a warrior 2 position here, sinking into these hips and really feeling the opening up and feeling this left quad open up too. Gazing over that right hand. Now we're going to release our warrior and then come back into it. And again release the warrior and come back into it. Wimble those hands round to the front, step back to plank. Then either knees, chest, chin or chaturanga. Upward facing dog or cobra. And downward facing dog. And now we've got the same on the other side, so bring that left knee to nose. So 3, 2, 1. Step between the hands, power up into our high lunge. And open up into our strong warrior 2. Again, feeling that deep opening of the hips and opening through the right side quad. And open those arms and gaze over that left hand. And then release our warrior and then sink back in, and again release and sink back in, and then wimble those hands round to the front, step back to plank, knees, chest, chin or chaturanga, upward facing dog or cobra, and downward facing dog. Now we're just going to walk those hands back, and then we're just going to sink down into our malasana. Again, just maybe wiggling from side to side here. And then we're going to walk our hands back out to downward facing dog. Bend through the knees and jump to the top of the mat. Coming up, standing, head and neck coming last. Now we're going to inhale our hands up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift, maybe hands come to the shins, maybe to the mat. Step or jump back to plank. Knees, chest, chin or chaturanga. Upward facing dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Now we're going to lift up that right leg again, coming into our three-leg dog. And bending that knee and pushing into that left heel. Then we're going to step it to the outside of the right hand, come down into our lizard. Again, here in our lizard, we're not going to lower the back knee, we're going to stay strong in our high lizard. And then maybe coming down to the forearms. Maybe making gentle movements here, just feeling the strengthening of the hips here without the back knee down. If you need to put the back knee down and modify, that's absolutely fine. Push back up onto our hands, step back, three-leg dog. Then we're going to bring our knee through to chest and step into our high lunge. So arms come up to the sky. Opening up into our warrior two. Now we're going to reverse our warrior, so sweep that right hand forward and then just fly it back over, just feeling a different opening of the hips. And then we're going to fly all the way back round into our side angle pose. So your right hand can rest on your right knee and this left arm just comes overhead. Or if you're more flexible, you can bring your right hand to the inside of the right foot and make sure that heart is opening up and that left arm is coming overhead. And then we'll come back and reverse our warrior and then fly our hands round to low lunge, step back, plank, lowering knees, chest, chin or chaturanga, upward facing dog or cobra and downward facing dog. Now we've got the same on the other side, so lift that left leg up to the sky, bending that knee, bring that left knee to the outside of the left hand and then coming into our lizard on the left side. So again, either staying up on the hands or lowering down onto the forearms or onto a block. And we'll just find gentle movements here, really feeling into this hip mobility. Noticing the difference between active and passive stretches in this flow. Come back onto those hands, step back into our three-leg dog and then we'll just step that foot right in between the hands and come up to our high lunge. Open up into our warrior twos. Sweep that arm forward and reverse the warrior. And then come round to side angle. So again, either left elbow onto left knee or left hand onto the mat. Sweep that right hand overhead. And then we'll reverse our warrior again. And then fly those arms to frame the front foot, step back into a plank, knees, chest, chin or chaturanga, upward facing dog or cobra, and downward facing dog. And then again, we're just going to walk those hands back and sit down into our malasana and just take a little breather here before you go into the next part of the flow. So in our malasana, we're just going to power up through, come up to standing, and then we're just going to take a wide leg stance on the mat, preparing for our wide leg forward fold. So we're going to just turn our feet, our toes to point slightly inwards. This is just going to encourage the direction of our quads, and then we'll inhale, hands up to the sky. And as we exhale, we're going to forward fold and reach for our ankles. So fold down slowly, trying to grab the ankles. If you can't grab the ankles, just grab the calf. But I want you to try and make this connection so that you can have the sensation of you pulling your body closer to your midline. Now as we power up, we're going to flip those heels to the inside so our toes are pointing out and just squat into our goddess. Just keeping our hands at heart center here. Now we're going to sink over into the right leg, so we're going to come into our Skandasana, surface squat. So you might need to use your hands to adjust yourself into it. You might be up on the toes and that's absolutely fine. Just come to wherever you need to be. Just really feeling the opening up of the hips. Now we're going to come into our second pigeon of the sequence. So we're just going to frame that front foot and just simply swing this back leg around and then bring that right leg to a 90 degree or nearabouts, just coming across to the left hip flexor. Just taking a few moments to get comfortable in this position, maybe putting a cushion or block under the right bum cheek, and then we'll just bring our hands out to the side, grow up tall, and then we'll lower down to our mats. Come into a sleeping pigeons. Noticing the difference in this pigeon to the last one. And then we'll power up through, and then we need to transition into our Skandasana on the other side. So we're just going to come back up onto that foot, so back into Skandasana, then just simply push through and see if you can do it without any hands, coming into Skandasana on the left side. So again, you might be up on your toe and that's fine, or down on the heel, wherever you need to be. And then we'll frame this left foot and come into our pigeon on the left side. So again, just taking a few moments to get comfortable here. First of all, pushing that heart up to the sky. And then coming down into our sleeping pigeons. Then we'll power up through, come back into our Skandasana on the left side, and then we're going to power up and see if we can not use our hands and just push up into our goddess. And we're just going to do some goddess pulses here. So we're going to do 10. So we go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Push our hands up to the sky, release our hands down. Just shuffle those feet in, closest to one another, and then we'll just sit down in our Malasana. And then we're just going to fall onto our bums and come into a wide leg forward fold. So just have your feet coming out to each edge of the mat. They might need to be a bit closer together, that's fine, but I want you to make sure your feet are flexed, so toes pointing up to the sky, and engage your quads, so you'll have this sensation that your knees are kind of coming up your body and pulling closer up to your hips. And then we're just going to fold forwards. I don't want anyone to slump onto the mat, so if you can reach the mat, we're not going to go there today because I want you to engage your hip mobility. So if you'd like a challenge, you can just stay here with your hands at heart center and just come to wherever you can be. If you'd like to challenge, we're going to keep our hands out overhead. So we're going to reach them up tall and just fall forward. And just see where you can come to, as low down as you come to without collapsing. So really engaging these legs and switching them on. And then up, and then we're going to come lower 3 times. So we're going to lower for 1, and up, and again 2, and up, 3, and up. Okay, and then we'll just move, go from side to side. Just if you've got any cramp or anything, just loosen that up. Now we're just going to reach over to our right side, so just bring our right hands up to the, both hands up to the sky and lean over that right foot, trying to get this connection. So if you need to bend the leg, then that's fine, just opening up the hip in a slightly different way. And then coming up, and then we'll bring our hands up to the sky and then come over to the left side. Again, maybe bending that knee if you need to. And back to centre. Now we're going to come into a position called shoelace. So we're just going to bring our right, bend our left knee, and we're just going to bring that right knee on top. So your knees are stacking on top of one another. This might be really intense, and if it is too much, then you can just do a double pigeon. So have this left foot at a 90-degree angle, and then put the right foot on top, and your knee might be up here. As long as you can feel it in the outside of the hips, then you're doing the right thing. If you're coming to the full variation, the further away your feet are from you, the harder it's going to be. So this is kind of a modified variation. To make it more challenging, you just need to wriggle those feet out. Both sit bones need to be rooted on the ground, and the knees need to be stacked. And then grow tall, and then maybe forward folding. But that might be already intense enough up here, and that's absolutely fine. Just stay there for today. And slowly come out. So here we're going to try and not use our hands, just to switch over the legs. Again, really engaging the hips and working on the mobility and the strength. So we're just going to lift them up and then see if we can just unwrap, bring them out to the side, and then simply just cross the other one over the top and hopefully landing the other way around. So again, taking this modified variation if the other one isn't accessible for you, or making sure both knees are stacked, both sit bones are firmly rooted on the ground, and either a modified variation like this, or if you want to challenge yourself, then pushing those legs further towards the top of the mat, just making sure you can really feel a deep opening of the IT bands. Either staying upright or working your body slightly forward down to the mat. And slowly coming up, and again we're going to see if we can do it without any hands. So just leaving our hands out of the way, lifting those feet off the mat, opening those opening those legs out to the sky. Maybe bring your hands out in front for a second, and then we're just going to bring them into a Baddha Konasana position, just like we started. So feet together, knees falling out to the side. This time we are going to use our hands, so we're going to clasp our hands around our feet. So we're going to round our backs and aim to bring our foreheads to our feet. If it doesn't get there, then that's fine. It's just a gesture of where it's heading. Just noticing the difference in this Baddha Konasana to the one at the beginning of the practice. Feeling into this passive variation of the posture. and then slowly coming up. Now we're just going to hug everything in because we've worked really a lot on opening the hips. We're just going to hug it all in and just bring our forehead into our knees and just hug all that energy back in as we start to close the practice. And then open up, and then we're going to lie on our backs, coming to Shavasana. So if you don't want to do any more hip opening, that's fine. It might be quite nice just to have the knees falling into each other, and it gives a little bit of a release on the lower back, and take your Shavasana in this variation. If you'd like to take it with open hips, then we're going to come into a Supta Baddha Konasana. So feet together, and then knees just fall up to the side, palms facing up to the sky, and chin tucked slightly into the chest, and just making sure we're relaxing our whole body. Again, here we're just letting gravity do the work with our hip opening here. So you'll probably be much deeper into this Baddha Konasana than you were at the one at the start, because we've worked so much on them. Again, just with every inhale, just visualising that breath going down those areas that you are opening or feel tension. So that might be other places other than your hips. If you'd like to stay here longer, then be my guest, just press pause and come back to me when you're ready. If you'd like to close with me, we're going to just slowly, with our hands, assist our knees together if you were in this Baddha Konasana variation. Hug both our knees into our chest. Maybe just feeling what the hips feel like now they are closed. Then fall over to one side, using our hand or arm as a pillow. And then gently push ourselves up to seated. Come to find a comfortable sitting pose, so cross leg or kneeling, up to you. We'll do a releasing breath all together, so inhale, hands up to the sky. Exhale through heart center. Namaste. Thank you everyone again for flowing with me. I hope your hips feel nice and open now, and maybe a little bit stronger. So yeah, just let me know what you guys want more of, and I'll see you guys on the mat very soon. Bye.